Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to another Facebook and YouTube Live. We're here answering all of your retirement questions. I hope everyone is doing well today. Dave, how are you?
I am good. I can't believe it's been another week. Here we are for the third week in a row, back together, having Facebook Live. It seems like it was just yesterday when we did our last question and answer session.
I know I feel like a Facebook Live grown up now. So seasoned for sure. I think I've taken CR's job over.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back next week, and I guess you might have to arm wrestle with him to see which one of you gets to host the show.
I already told him I'm going to pull his hair when I see him in September. So I think I'll go with the hair pulling. All right.
Will be fun to hear how his travels went. It
Oh,
sounds
yes.
like he
Very
went to a
interesting.
lot of places, had a good time.
That is very good. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us live. And for those on replay, thank you for being here with us. Now, if this is your first time, welcome. We are always here talking retirement with our expert, Dave Hall, and he will be answering your questions, giving some really good advice to help take some action and make some change. Now, Dave, I've put together a list of questions from our website, social media, and webinars. And if you have any questions for Dave, please put them in the chat so we can get them answered for you. You ready to begin, Dave?
I am. I am so excited.
All right, sounds good. First coming at you is a question from Sal, who is a CPA. What is a tax advantage retirement account I should have?
When we look at this, Sal, there's a couple of ways we can refer to these tax advantage accounts. Many times we refer to them as tax-free accounts, not even tax advantage. We really look at it as a taxable, tax deferred, and tax advantage or tax-free. What you should be looking at here is anything with the name of Roth in it. So Roth IRA, Roth 401k, if you got a Roth 403b, whatever the case may be, as well as any permanent insurance. Now, we use indexed universal life insurance for most of our planning. That's the policy that we really like, as long as it meets certain criteria. But those are really the two main things you're going to want to look at from a tax advantage standpoint.
Sounds good. All right. Our next question is coming from Cassie, who is 63. How can I prepare myself for scams and financial exploitation in retirement?
Cassie, I'm really glad you're asking this question because it is something that was becoming a bigger issue. In fact, yesterday I just got certified to be able to go through and do some assessments to be able to help people figure out if they're at risk of being scammed financially, and really not so much because of what's going on around you as just your own mental state. What we're finding is many people get to a position where they can't make the right mental decisions regarding the retirement, where many people come to them, even family members. In fact, we did a podcast here not too long ago where I was talking with the individual who had put a website together and written a number of books on the topic, saying it's amazing how many times family members convince us that we need to do something when we're in retirement that really isn't in our best interest. And the whole certification I got was to help people look at the situation, really analyze and say, why am I doing this? Is it for me or because someone else is going to benefit off of what I'm doing? But the couple of things I will tell you, again, try to do your best to keep your mind sharp. If you realize, again, mind's going to start slipping, you need to make sure you're getting other people involved in the process. And then number two is to really have a good plan together for your retirement. Many people get scammed because they don't have a plan. They don't have a structure. They feel like they've got a bunch of extra money, or they're in a position where they don't have enough money. And so they're trying to get a higher rate of return. And those who are less scrupulous than most of us would be are out there trying to take advantage of that. So again, just be attentive to what's going on around you. Keep up with the latest scams. You can do that through AARP that are out there, but understand it's becoming a bigger issue. In fact, Destiny, when I was looking at this, I had done some research this morning on it because it is an area I've been spending more time. 1 in 20 retirees will have financial exploitation in their retirement, and the average cost is somewhere between $80,000 and $130,000 is how much people are losing to these various scams.
Oh, yes. My grandmother actually moved here a couple of months ago, and it seems like she's getting all kind of weird emails and things in the mail for her, just them wanting her to pay for stuff. Someone even actually said that she had a warrant out for her arrest. They called her cell phone, and if she didn't pay this money by this time, then they were going to come get her. So she's all nervous trying to go to the bank and stuff. I'm like, Grandma, that's not true. There's so many scams out there. She's getting emails from princess in Nigeria saying she's, owed millions of dollars and she's thinking it's true. And I'm like, you can't fall for that. They're going to take all of your money.
Well, and you get to that point, and oftentimes you don't realize that your cognitive skills have gone down so far that now you're falling for this stuff that you wouldn't have before.
Oh,
And you're
yeah.
right, Destiny, when you look at it. In fact, one of the things that was brought up when I was talking to the individual we're doing the podcast with, Peter, is he said, look, one of the problems people have, oftentimes they forget that they've sent money. And you see many charitable organizations, once you get on their mailing list, notice they'll send you one every month saying, hey, send us money, send you money. So his problem is many of those retirees forget that they sent the first check. So they may have sent $100. Maybe that's their limit of what they're going to spend. And then all of a sudden it shows up month 2 and they're like, oh, this organization wants $100. I'm willing to share $100.
Yeah.
And that goes month after month after month. And they have no idea they're even sending the checks in on that regular basis.
Oh, yes. That's kind of where my grandma was at, or heading to at first.
Yeah, but they do have tools out there to really help people when you look at it, deal with this. In fact, this is what Peter had put together is a website that would allow people like myself to get trained on the information they had available, to where then you could go through and do assessments to help people figure out where they are, and then hopefully get them the help they need, whether it's getting a family member involved that they can rely upon to help them make those decisions, whether it's getting professionals involved that can step in and help them make the decisions, but to get a good assessment of saying, hey, you're not where you need to be. And he's also put together the resources to help people deal with it if they've gotten taken. And let me give the web address here. It's olderadultnestegg.com. Kind of a weird web address, but it's olderadultnestegg.com. If you'd like to learn more about the organization, or if you have been taken advantage of, they've got a bunch of resources through their SAFE program where people can get help at no cost to the individual who's trying to seek the help to get out of a bad situation.
Is there any real results for someone being scammed? Like, does the police get involved, or is it just like a, hey?
Unfortunately, generally not. Most people will never get their money back. I think the statistics are very high, 90, 95%, that you're not getting back what's been taken. So unfortunately, for most people, that's going to be lost. I got lucky. My in-laws got scammed out of about $50,000. Luckily, I knew what to do earlier in my career when this happened, and I was able to get about 46,000 of that 50 back. But again, that's not common. Usually you're not going to be able to get that much back. And so really what it becomes oftentimes is just stopping the process. Now, if you've got, there's two issues. Family members are the biggest people causing the problem. So if you've got family members, obviously they're local, it's someone that police could get after, they could chase, but most people will not press charges on a family member.
Yeah.
So you've got that issue there that you're going to lose. And then you got those overseas that if that money went to Nigeria or it's Cayman Islands or wherever it went, your chances of ever seeing that money are basically next to nothing.
Wow. All righty. Well, our next question is coming from Kelsey, who is a CPA. What is the best self-directed plan for a self-employed person?
Kelsey, good question. When we look at the self-directed plans, there's really a number of options that you have out there. You've got the self-directed IRA, and then inside of that, you've got checkbook controlled IRAs using an LLC. You've also got self-directed 401k plans. So if you look at it, a lot of it depends on how much money you want to put into these plans, how much money you have available to put into these plans, and the freedoms that you want associated with them. So my recommendation would be looking at the self-directed IRA, and then also that self-directed solo 401k would be an option for you as well, self-employed. But again, really no need to go the 401k route if you're not going to be putting $27,000 if you're over 50 or older, or $20,500 into the plan during the year if you're under age 50, and maximizing your contribution into it. Much cheaper and easier for many people to just have that self-directed IRA.
All right. Our next question is coming from Anna, who is 55. Would it be feasible to start a business after I retire?
It could be. Now, you need to be very careful when you're looking at doing something like this. Now, you may have a skill set that you believe you'll be able to use to help start a business in your retirement. And if it doesn't take a lot of capital, it may be a great thing to do. But you need to understand 80% of all new businesses are out of business within the first 5 years. Very, very bad statistics when you're in your retirement and saying, look, I need excess income, and yet 80% of them are failing. Now, that being said, another podcast that we just did was with an individual who does consulting on Oh, what are they called? On franchises. Yes, that's what it is. On franchises. And 80% of the franchises are still in business after 5 years. So again, it may be something to look into. And what he does is helps match you up with a franchise that will work best for you. And there's no cost to the individual. But again, you've just got to look at the risk versus the reward and make sure you're in a structure where hopefully it's going to provide money for your retirement, not take money out of it.
Sounds good. All right. Our next question is coming from Nick, and he is a CPA. Which should I have, long-term care insurance or life insurance?
Nick, good question. And let me answer it in saying I don't know, because I don't know enough facts and circumstance. Not that I don't know the way these work, but again, what we want to do is better understand where you're at. And what he's bringing up right now is you've got long-term care insurance. It's getting ever more expensive. It's got a lot of limitations to it. Many people are having issues keeping up with the premiums. And then you've got permanent life insurance, where you're using an index policy. You could have a chronic illness rider that you could use for a long-term care event. Now, if you qualify, I would say personally, I would use the insurance, the life insurance with the chronic illness rider. That's what I've done for my wife. She's got one of these policies. Now, myself, I don't qualify for life insurance anymore because I had a kidney transplant, and I'm not going to pay the fees that it would take to be able to put an insurance policy on my life. So therefore, I would need a long-term care insurance policy, which I already have. That's something that I put in years ago, paid the premiums on, all paid up, don't have to worry about that issue there. So again, really depends on your insurability. Long-term care insurance is based on morbidity, and life insurance is based on mortality. So depending on the health issues you have, you could look at these, and then also depending on what money you have available to help cover these costs and what it is you're really trying to accomplish. Again, for most people, I would say life insurance with chronic illness is the best option.
So for someone like me who's say 35, I do have life insurance, relatively healthy, me and my children. Would long-term care insurance be feasible for someone like me?
It's going to be much cheaper than for someone like me. Now, again, my kidneys, when you look at it, may not put me in a nursing home. It may be a situation where it's saying, hey, it's going to kill you early, but it's not going to necessarily put you in a nursing home. So again, long-term care insurance for me may be a viable option, maybe something that I can get. Look at someone like yourself and saying, hey, I'm at 35, I can get one of these policies. The problem that you have with it, Destiny, as you look at it, is if you're going to get a long-term care insurance policy, you want to pay it up very quickly, because they will go up over time. There's no question. So you get in it and you're saying, okay, I'm paying $2,000 or $3,000 a year for the policy, $100, $200 a month. And maybe that's affordable for me right now. And then you get 45 and all of a sudden it's $300 or $400 a month. And then you get 55 and it's $500 or $600 or whatever these numbers are. And pretty soon it gets to a point you're saying, hey, I can't afford it. If the policy wasn't structured correctly, you could have paid all that money, lapse the policy, and get absolutely nothing back. Which is one of the challenges I have with long-term care, is many of the old policies were structured that way. Some of the new ones now allow you to at least get your premiums back, but not a really efficient way to grow wealth. So if you say, hey, if I got life insurance, it's got a chronic illness rider, I can kill two birds with one stone. If I end up having an issue where I've got long-term care, I use the death benefit in advance out of my life insurance policy. If I don't and I pass away, then my kids get the death benefit and they get the benefit of everything that I paid in over all those years. So
sounds good. All right. Our next question is coming from Michelle, who is 67. Do I need Part D of Medicare if I have Medicare Advantage plan?
You're going to get Part D as part of your Medicare Advantage plan, Michelle. So understand, when we look at the way Medicare Advantage plans work, and understand there are two different paths you can take with Medicare. Medicare Advantage plan, which consolidates everything in. Your Part A, your Part B, Part C is Medicare Advantage plans themselves, and then Part D is prescription drug coverage. All of that gets rolled into one policy. You're going to work with that company, whoever it is. I'm currently on a Cigna Medicare Advantage plan policy. It's a PPO policy that's worked very well, but I'm going to lose that soon because I had it because of my kidney transplant. You get it for 3 years after. So you won't need to get it separate. Now, the other path is traditional Medicare, Part A and B, with a Medigap plan, or what's often referred to as a Medicare supplement plan. And then, yes, you do have to buy Part D separately. So you'd really be dealing with 3 different organizations if you go with a Medigap or Medicare supplement plan, because you'd have Medicare itself, Part A and B. You'd have the Medigap company for the supplemental coverage to fill in the gaps. And then you'd have a company that would handle your Part D premiums for your RXs or your prescriptions. You'd have that there. But Medicare Advantage plan, Michelle, no, it's going to get all included in that policy that you're buying with whatever company you choose to use.
Okay. All right. Our next question comes from Jacob, who is 45. Should I have a Roth IRA or Roth 401k?
Hopefully you could have both. I mean, I would tell you it's not really an either or. Hopefully you could have both of these. Now, if you make too much money, you'd be in a position that you wouldn't be able to contribute into the Roth IRA. There's no income limits from a upper limit for a Roth 401k. Now, there are from a lower income limit saying, hey, if I make no money, I can't contribute into a Roth 401k. But the hope would be both. But if you for some reason were having to pick, really what you'd want is a Roth 401k. Now, Roth IRAs are available to everyone. Again, as long as you're a U.S. citizen and you have some type of earnings, you'd contribute into there as long as you don't make too much. Roth 401ks through an employer. So, Jacob, when you look at your situation, you may not even be able to get a Roth 401k unless your employer is offering it at your job, or you're self-employed and you put it together. But so realize that there's some restrictions there with the Roth 401k. The nice thing is, though, if you have it, much larger contribution amount than you would have in your Roth IRA.
And what is the contribution amount for a Roth 401k?
$20,500 for 2020 for those under age 50. If you're 50 or older, you get a $6,500 catch-up contribution. And I will tell you, there's some good news on the horizon. It looks like Secure Act 2.0, for those of you that are familiar with Secure Act 1.0 that happened back at the end of 2019, looks like Secure Act 2.0 may pass finally this year. We hoped it was going to pass last year. It didn't get through. The House has passed it already, waiting for the Senate to pass it. But they're talking about increasing the catch-up contributions from $6,500 to $10,000. So you may be in a position where you could put $30,500, which will also probably be inflation adjusted, maybe $31,000 by next year. So let's wait and see what happens. But right now you could put $27,000 in there if you're 50 or older, which is huge when you look at the Roth IRA, Destiny. Even if you're 50 or older, you can only put $7,000 in there. So you're getting an extra $20,000 you can put into your Roth 401k if you're 50 or older. And if you're under that, you're at $6,000 into your Roth IRA and $20,500 into your Roth 401k.
All right. Our next question comes from Gregory, who is a CPA. What is the best inflation adjusted product?
The one that I like the best one's Social Security. I mean, if you look at a guaranteed inflation adjustment every year, assuming that we have inflation, you're going to get more money next year than you did the year before, and that's going to continue on throughout the rest of your lifetime. But from an outside investment, what we find and what I like is fixed indexed annuities. They've been great at being able to keep up with inflation. Now, the way they're structured, you can buy an inflation rider. Some of these are designed to where as the market goes up, what you get as a payment will go up with the market. You're going to be able to get more money over time. So again, something I would look at, definitely not your bank accounts, certificates of disappointment, savings accounts. These are not paying anywhere near enough to be able to keep up with inflation currently.
I have a question about Social Security. So my grandma is collecting her own. My grandpa died a couple of years ago, but I don't think he was 59 and a half when he passed. Would she be able to collect on his Social Security, or no, since she's getting her own?
Yeah, in theory, she would be able to, assuming that his benefits were more than hers. I don't know what their works process was like, but he would have been fully insured if you took it. Let's say that he passed away at age 58. So if he would have passed away at age 58, you have to take 22. So normally you have to have 40 credits. So let's maybe explain what you normally have to have, which are quarterly credits that you would get for earnings that you have throughout your lifetime to be able to qualify for Social Security. So basically 10 years of work. So if you look at it and let's say, the amount's $1,510, I believe this year, if you made $10,000 throughout the year, you would get 4 credits. You're way over, the $6,000 plus that you would have to be able to qualify for your 4 credits. Do that for 10 years, you got 40 credits, you qualify for Social Security, and you have all those benefits. When someone passes away early, like your grandfather has, what you do is you take their age, subtract 22 from it, and that's the number of work credits they have to have. So if he passed away at 58, take 22 away from there, you're at 36. He didn't have to quite have full 10 years of work. He could have 9 years of work, and she would still be able to qualify for whatever his full retirement benefits would have been once he reached his full retirement age, which would have been age 66.
Okay.
So if she's not taken advantage of that yet, if she's not looked into it, she may want to look into, I would recommend that she does and says, hey, look, yeah, I'm getting my benefits right now, but as a survivor, I have the opportunity to switch to a higher benefit at some point if I choose to do so. Is that the time? And maybe if I even missed out on some dollars already, not knowing how old she is right now, but there may be some dollars she's already missed out on she could have gotten if she would have talked to Social Security before.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that. I will let her know.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see this all the time, Destiny. We see it so many times. People just don't understand the way the program works. And so, especially if someone passes away early and so they've not seen a check coming in, they don't really even know maybe what amount they were entitled to. So it comes to their retirement and they think, okay, I've just got to file on my own work record. And at that point, now they're single because if it's been multiple years since they passed away, they're not still filing married tax returns. And so someone may not even understand that Social Security to even ask or question saying, were you once married before? And could there be another work record that you're filing on? They're not there to make your life better. It's not, not like every time you go to the fast food place and they ask you when you get there, hey, would you like to try combo number 7 special today? And hey, could we add a milkshake onto that or whatever the case may be to just expand what they're doing? Social Security's not that way. They're going to take what information you provide and say, okay, well, grandma's applying for her own benefits. Let's see what she's entitled to. Let's send her a check and ignore that she may have had, that situation there. And again, if someone had been married before and got divorced, maybe benefits there as well.
So if my grandpa, so my grandpa was married before my grandmother, would they both be entitled to the same benefits or is one going to be more?
Good question. Potentially, yeah. So the marriage has to have lasted 10 years to be able to get the benefits. If you're a former spouse, meaning that you got divorced. So if someone got divorced, now, again, your grandmother ended up marrying your grandfather and they were married for a couple of years and then he just passed away quietly in his sleep. She didn't have to be married for 10 years because she was the current spouse at the time of his passing. But yeah, there could be benefits. We see situations out there, they're rare, but 3 or 4 different people could be getting benefits off of one person's work record if they meet that. Johnny Carson was one, probably before your time, and he does hit my age and maybe some listening, but he'd been married to like 3 or 4 different women for a period of 10 years each. Every one of them would have been able to get benefits off his work record, assuming his were higher than their own or maybe current spouses that they are married to at the time.
Are they all equal benefits or does like the first wife get the most and it kind of trickles down?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're intended to be all equal. The problem is sometimes what you end up with is a former spouse may end up getting a little more than the current spouse. And again, they try to make these things fair. They try to make them as equal as they possibly can. But you've got family maximum limits if you are a current spouse and you've got other people in your family that are getting benefits. So let's say someone passed away, they had young kids, maybe they married a much younger wife, ended up having children in their retirement years, and so you've got family maximum issues there. Maybe they had parents that were dependents of theirs that are getting some benefits. So that wife may have her benefits reduced from a survivor side where the ex-spouse is not included in those family maximum limits. So there are times, not very often, but an ex-spouse may actually get more than what the spouse that was married to him at the time ends up getting. But the former spouse doesn't have to let anybody know what they're getting. So this is another thing too. They don't reach out and say, hey, I want to claim benefits. All they do is go to Social Security and let them know, provide information on their marriage, on the Social Security number of the individual they're married to. Then Social Security handles the rest without the family generally ever knowing that someone else is claiming those benefits.
So if there are surviving children and they want to claim the benefits, is there like an age limit up until they can do that?
Yeah, good question. It is. So they've got to be under age 18 or still in high school. So once in a while, you got that kid that turns 18 during his senior year, but he's still in high school. So he would be able to get benefits until he got out of school in, let's say, June, before he turns 19. Now, once they turn 19, they're off. You got held back 2 or 3 years, you're in trouble. So if you're 25 and you're still in high school, you're not getting Social Security benefits. But for that child who is, they're at age 18 trying to finish out his senior year, he would be able to get benefits up until he ended up getting out of high school. Now, they do have to also be single. So if there are people that get married in high school, it's going to take those benefits off the table. But once you get past that age, no benefits for kids. There's nothing that they're going to be able to get off that work record once they basically become an adult and in theory reach 18 or finish high school and get out on their own. Or, I guess they can stay in the house. Doesn't matter where they live, not going to affect it, but they need to understand at that age they'll stop getting those benefits.
Cool.
And for the mom too, just as now we're on Social Security, understand for the mom, it cuts off, or the dad, I guess, generally you see it where it's the mom that, that us men, we pass away much earlier, end up often marrying younger women. And so we're not around. It ends up being the mom, but it could be a dad as well. They can get benefits for taking care of that child. Say that, they passed away and you're, an individual, you're left saying, hey, my husband's passed away. I've got young kids in the home. They would be able to get benefits. And then you also would be able to get benefits until they reach age 16. So it's 2 years younger. That figuring, I guess by 16, they can kind of take care of themselves. You can go back to work. They can stay on their own, do the things they need to do, but you could get benefits as well to take care of those caregiver benefits to take care of those kids.
Cool. A lot of great information. Thank you, Dave. All right. Our next question is coming from Elliot from YouTube Live. Hello, Elliot. Great seeing you again. All right.
Elliot, good to see you.
His question is, would you recommend using a local Medicare insurance professional to consult with setting up initial enrollment, or does it not matter?
It really does not matter where you go. We work with Medicare Compare USA. They're a national organization. They do have local agents that oftentimes they will refer people out to, but they're an organization that we've done research on. We've had them on our show a number of times. We like what they do. We like the knowledge they have. We like the processes they use. And so they are a strategic partner that if you were wanting to connect with them, you could do that through our website and they'd be able to help you in any state through agents that they have. Or if you wanted to, you could just contact your local Medicare insurance professional. Now, the biggest thing is just making sure that they understand what they're doing and really understand, from your own perspective, where their interests lie. Now, understand these companies end up getting paid by the insurance companies for selling the various products that they sell. So you want to make sure that they're not captive some way or tied into one specific product where that's all they're pushing because they're getting a higher commission and you're not getting the product that you really need. So you want to make sure they're listening to you, understand your needs, understand the concerns you have going into retirement. If you got pre-existing conditions, if you travel a lot, if you got a second home, all these things need to be discussed. Elliot, I know you've talked about moving to Puerto Rico. If you're going to be out in an area like that, all that should be discussed and they should be using that information to help give you the best recommendation for Medicare, whether it be an Advantage plan or traditional Medicare with a Medigap plan.
All right, great. Next question is coming from Sebastian, who is a CPA. What should I do now to prepare for market volatility?
Sebastian, it may be a little too late. When we look at that volatility, it's been tough. When you look over the last few months, we're down 20, 30%. The market just continually bounces. I've got my own theories on why it's bouncing, but we'll save those for a later period of time. But the best thing we can do to prepare for a volatile market, though, is to put in principal protected products. Now, again, that being said, there are economists and top advisors out there that are saying this is just the first wave. We've dropped 20 or 30%. There's another wave that could be 40 or 50%. Many of them have very, very low projections. What's going to happen with the stock market in the future? And so the way we can protect against that is principal protected products. They're index products, generally an indexed annuity, indexed life insurance policy that has a floor which means if the market goes down 40%, you got $100,000. You still have $100,000. You're not going to go down with it, but then it also has the upside of the market. So you're not stuck to 0.25% interest out of your bank account. You can get rates of return in double digits in many years. We've seen that when we look back historically.
All right. Our next question is coming from Kelly Ann, who is 62. Should I withdraw to avoid the bear market?
Yeah, well, Kellyanne, you're in a bad situation. And I don't mean that in any disrespect of where you're at, but it looks like you're approaching retirement. 62, estimated that you should retire within the next at least 8 years. Most people are retiring by age 70. Sooner you're going to retire, the bigger problem you're going to have if you retire now, because if you retire in a bear market and you have down years, you're going to have some issues trying to get that money back because you're generally taking money out to cover your living costs. So again, we got to look at it. Generally, we want to hold out. The biggest mistake most people make is withdrawing their money out of their investment accounts. What we want to do is look at the overall portfolio. If you've got everything in stocks right now, and we're going into this market, and again, many economists saying this could just be the start of where we're heading, may want to look at shifting. Again, not necessarily putting in cash or inflation is going to destroy you, shifting into principal protected products to be in a much better position. But really need a little more information. Again, when do you plan to retire? How much assets are available? How much do you need to pull out each year? Once you get into those initial years of retirement, that would help us better understand what shifting and allocating we really need to do to get you where you should be.
All righty. Well, Dave, it does look like we are at our 30 minutes, which means the show is just about over. As always, I had a blast with you. Before I let you go, is there any final words you have for the audience?
Yeah, I just want to go back to what we were just talking about, and that is please don't panic. The worst thing you can do for your retirement, or really with anything in our lives, is to panic. Panic doesn't change anything. It usually leads to bad decisions. In fact, if we end up in a situation, all of a sudden you're scared to death that your assets are going to be gone, so you pull them off the table. I had people that did that back in 2020, yes, when we had that correction. There was correction in March or April of 2020. The market dropped 10 or 20%. People took their money out and then it bounced back and kept going. So what they did to themselves, they missed the upside. And this is what often happens. If you panic, you pull the money out. If it's not invested in something that's going to allow you to take the upside ride, you're really in a bad position. So I guess that's what I would leave with people. Let's not be pulling money out and putting it in cash. Yes, it can protect your value. And I guess better, if the market's going to drop 30 or 40%, better than going down 30 or 40%, but you don't have to do that. You can go into principal protected products that if the market does go down, hey, great, I'm protected. But if it doesn't, if it does a backflip and comes back like others may be projecting out there, you're safe and in a position to be able to take that upside to allow your assets to grow the way they need to for your retirement. So, just stay peaceful. Understand that the things are going to happen. We can be okay with it. We can get through these choices and decisions. We've just got to do it methodically. We've got to do it using advisors and those who understand what they're doing so that we can get to the best results possible.
All right. Thank you so much for all your great information, Dave. And thank everyone for joining us. We are here every Wednesday on Facebook and YouTube Live at 11 a.m. Central. So join at any time. Thank you guys for being here with us, and see you later, Dave.
Thank you. And thank you, Destiny. Been very nice being with you these last few weeks.
Oh, yes. Very nervous, but I've loved it. All right. Bye, guys.